I like big shields and I cannot lie. You Russo brothers can't deny. And when the Winter Soldier's here and he punches me in the face and is in my face, I'm like, no!
I'm like, who the heck is Bucky?
Hello and welcome to Two Chunks and a Hunk, our movie podcast where we give pumps and dumps. My name is Jordan Wonders, and this week I'm your chunk.
I'm Doge, and who the heck is Chunk?
I'm David Blease, and secretly I've been a chunk this whole time. I started taking over the chunk stuff when in the World War II, and I've been like taking it from the inside to like gain trust.
You said chunk, you didn't say hunk.
I know I've secretly been a chunk this whole time.
So you're Hunkdra?
I'm Hunkdra.
We've already done Hail Hunka.
That wasn't Hail Hunka.
You're Hunkdra?
I've been taking it over, gaining your trust.
I'm back, baby. Oh boy.
Well, if you're still listening,
Which you shouldn't be. This week, obviously, we're talking about Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
I like that we all jumped in as if the Winter Soldier is the only title of this movie.
I never call it anything but the Winter Soldier, though.
That's a good point.
And you never call it Captain America Civil War either.
That's
Civil
true.
War.
It's just Civil War.
Because it's a different movie.
It's called Captain America Civil War.
Oh, I thought you meant we never called this movie Captain America Civil War.
I don't do
And was
that
like,
either.
I thought you meant we
don't.
never call the actual historical Civil War Captain America's Civil War.
Both true.
So at the Battle of Gettysburg, at the beginning of Captain America's Civil War. But, well, Doge, would you mind giving us a little synopsis
Thank you for asking this time.
about, sorry, let's take that away. Hey, Doge, do the synopsis.
Here we go.
sis.
Captain America, the Winter Soldier, begins. Actually, we lose the Marvel formula. We don't
No
start with a
flashback.
flashback, which reveals the villain, which is very refreshing. We open on Cap, who is kind of adjusting to modern life. He is an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he goes on, essentially leads secret missions for S.H.I.E.L.D. We open and he's leading a mission to retrieve some launch codes from a ship in the middle of the ocean.
He's just trying to save.
He's trying to save the hostages. Yeah. Turns out that S.H.I.E.L.D. That's a confusing part. We'll get there when we talk
Is
about
that
the movie.
before he runs?
No, it's
Well, we
after
start
he
with
runs.
him running, and he meets a guy named Sam Wilson, and
feel
then he
like that's
goes on this
important.
mission.
Yeah.
So he runs, Captain America. So first he runs with his left foot, and then he takes a step onto his right foot, and then he said,
one foot in front of the other.
"Is it a Santa Claus is coming to town?"
Yep.
Jeez. So yeah, Cap meets a veteran named Sam Wilson. They essentially work out together, or really work out in the same place in the mornings.
You happy, Jordan?
I feel good.
Now that we've talked about Jordan's favorite part of this movie, we can start on the actual movie.
I feel good.
Cap goes on a mission to save some hostages on a ship in the middle of the ocean. And then while he gets there, he finds out that S.H.I.E.L.D. has actually requested that data be stolen from the pirates, essentially.
He didn't know about that though.
He didn't know about that. So he confronts Fury.
I'd love if they were actual pirates.
He confronts Fury and essentially at this point is weighing, whether he should continue trusting S.H.I.E.L.D. He feels like he's been lied to all the time. Really, I feel like to explain the plot of this movie here is going to get really, really bogged down.
Yeah.
Essentially, what we're treated to is a kind of 70s style political thriller where we find out that S.H.I.E.L.D. has been infiltrated by Hydra.
Yep.
Ever since World War II, whenever S.H.I.E.L.D. hired Hydra scientists after the war, they kind of worked within S.H.I.E.L.D. to create Hydra again. And so Hydra has infiltrated all the high levels of S.H.I.E.L.D. and they're trying to use the launch codes that S.H.I.E.L.D. retrieved from the pirates to launch helicarriers into the air with the purpose of targeting crimes before they happen, Minority Report style. Steve says this isn't freedom, it's fear. And so there's a big falling out with S.H.I.E.L.D. and he leaves S.H.I.E.L.D. And is essentially hunted by them as he's trying to stop Hydra from launching these. As he's pursued by S.H.I.E.L.D. He's also pursued by a mysterious assassin known as the Winter Soldier. Turns out to be his long lost mejor amigo, James Buchanan Barnes from World War II. Bucky. So it ends in a fight at the end, obviously, and Steve is trying to get Bucky to remember him. We get little flashes that maybe Bucky does remember him because Bucky, at the end of the day, pulls Steve from the water, saves him from drowning, and then goes off just goes a roaming across the country to find himself.
Then at the very end, Bucky starts his own company making storage units for animals and hay. The company's actually called Bucky Barnes.
That is the worst joke on a podcast.
That one got
full
me
of
for
bad
sure.
jokes.
I thought he was going with the gas station, and then he took me by surprise.
So that's this movie. This is a fantastic movie. It's so fun.
Oh
and
my
we're
gosh.
making light of it now. It's really,
I'm
really,
so excited
really
to talk
good.
about this movie.
Well, I love that this is the first MCU movie where they're like, we've done a lot of superhero movies. Let's not do that. Let's
Change it up. Yeah.
Let's do a 70s spy movie. Let's do a 70s espionage
So that
movie.
was actually, before we jump into it, that was actually something the Russo brothers had talked about, is they said Captain America is different than all of our other heroes, so we have to approach his movie differently than we approach any other
Yeah.
hero movie. And they said that they one of their goals was to give a look at Captain America stretched to his thinnest and see where and if he broke.
Yeah.
And I think exploring that in this movie, man.
Well, I think this movie gave the permission to the MCU to do Spider-Man: Homecoming, Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Ant-Man: Ocean's 11.
To be about
yeah.
something bigger.
Yeah.
Like to make these movies less just and then this
Superhero.
happened and then this happened and then this happened, but to give these things purpose.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
And personality.
Yeah,
of their
every
own.
movie
Yeah.
every movie has or not every movie, but different movies have different genres.
Yeah.
Like I love Ant-Man because it is a heist movie.
An Ant-Man movie should never be a Captain America movie.
Should
You know what
never
I mean?
be.
Yeah.
And it should never be like a Hulk.
Right.
Where it's like,
Just smash stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree.
so I feel like this movie, and we've said it in multiple podcasts, changed the MCU.
Oh my goodness. This is I think this is the turning point of the MCU.
Really, I was just about to say that.
Really?
Really,
Okay.
after this movie, for me, is when the MCU became like, can't miss this. I
Yeah,
have
the
to see
MCU
this.
that we know now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even watching this movie, I felt that tonal shift.
Yeah.
Watching this felt like, okay, this feels like home base again, actually.
Well, and Captain America needed more development.
Oh, completely.
More than anybody in that we've seen thus far. You know, they made Thor 2, they made Iron Man 3, and we're like, I mean,
Okay, yeah, we get it.
We know Tony. I don't know if we need Thor, and if we did, that wasn't the way to
Sure.
give him more depth. But Captain America, he was kind of a joke.
Yeah.
And he shouldn't be. If you read the comics, Captain America should not be a
In
joke.
battle, he wasn't a joke, but outside of it, there was a lot of questioning.
But even
you know?
even in Avengers, I mean, even Chris Evans joked about it, where they're like flying everywhere, and he's like, "I'll take the stairs."
Yeah.
like there was kind of a joke of like, "Why is Captain America here?" You could probably say the same thing with Winter Soldier or with Scarlett Johansson, but this is Captain America.
So this is actually cool too. One of the things that the Russo brothers said, that the reason they started the movie with the boat scene after the running scene, of course.
Yeah, we can't forget the running
The
scene.
reason they started on the boat is because they wanted to showcase the training that Cap had been going through as a SHIELD agent and show that like he's brutal now. Like his fighting is brutal.
Yeah.
And one of the ways that they show that is with how much he uses his shield.
yeah.
I mean, his shield is like an extension of him at this point.
Yeah.
He just throws that bad boy and it comes right back.
Okay, so like the running scene is funny. I love the on your left.
Yeah, it's so
development.
great.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
But when it starts with the Lumerian star,
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the name of the ship. Yeah.
Yep.
oh my gosh.
Yep.
When he just runs 30 miles an hour and just drop kicks people.
That long shot of him running on the side of the boat, like,
my
oh my
gosh.
goodness, I was
Dude,
flipping.
so that's an interesting thing about the pacing of this movie, because it really, as I was watching it, it feels like every 10 to 15 minutes we get another huge action set piece, which normally gets exhausting.
Yeah,
does.
but it's not.
Something about this movie, it's so kinetic in those scenes.
So what I think I figured out, just based on some of the other things that the Russos have, I'm in love with the Russo brothers, and I'm going to talk
yeah.
about them like I want to marry them because I do. But one of the things that they are so good at is these incredible moments, both large scale and small.
Yep.
So something that I noticed is, for instance, Black Widow on the Lumerian Star, when she kicks that dude, hooks onto him, and rappels down using his body.
Yeah.
And then shoots people on her way down, lands on another body, and then like pops the guns out around the body to shoot.
Yep.
That whole time I was just like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that is how they do action.
Well, and like we needed that Black Widow before
Yes.
we got to the Avengers. Because
Yeah.
watching this, I'm able to answer your question of like, oh, that's why she's there.
That's what she
obviously.
does.
And
Yeah.
I would say the same thing about Cap.
Yeah, I agree.
Like we saw Cap like, oh yeah, he's like super strong. He's a super soldier. But after Lumerian Star, I was like, I do not want to mess with Cap.
You don't
No,
want
he
him
could do
running
anything.
towards
Cap
you.
could
Yeah.
destroy Iron Man.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah.
how you feel after you see Lemurian Star.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons that we can say that this movie set up the rest of the MCU, because if Avengers Cap is up against Iron Man in Civil War, there's no question about who wins that.
So true.
Yeah.
But if Winter Soldier and Beyond Cap is up against anybody, you kind of always got to throw your name on Cap a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we watched this movie and the only reason he loses a fight in this whole thing is because he says, "I'm not fighting you."
Yeah.
That's a great point.
Yeah. Well, and it's you talked about this a ton before we started recording today, where the Russo brothers say that Cap is at his, what was the quote?
So here I go again. The Russo brothers,
about it.
one of the things that they said, I loved it. It legitimately gave me chills, which is the dumbest thing. But they said when we were making this movie, we decided that Captain America is at his most compelling and interesting when he is taken to the 12th round and you don't know if he can go any further. And that is, I think, emotionally he's taken, like, they stretch him as thin as he can go emotionally and physically in this movie. And I think even mentally trying to figure out what to do. And
His characters.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we see a Cap that should be frazzled and confused, who instead stands firm on his beliefs, not of allegiance to S.H.I.E.L.D., but of allegiance to freedom and truth.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Well, and we've said it before. I think I've said it before, but you get the most development of a character and you see who they really are when they're put in a situation where they have to make a hard decision.
Yeah.
And the harder the decision, the greater the revelation of the character.
you squeeze him and you watch what comes out. You know what I mean?
And Captain America
Gross.
was so squeezed that we saw everything that's going to continue through the MCU.
Yep.
Yeah.
All the way to Civil War.
And once
started
again,
here.
credit to the MCU, their characterization stays so consistent
Yeah.
through these movies. But basically, what we're getting at here is there's not a better opening scene for this movie than showcasing both Cap's growth as a person with the running scene with Sam, and just showing like he's trying to catch up, but then showing how far he's come as a soldier.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give a quick pump before we go on and walk through this movie. So before Ed Brubaker, comic book writer, wrote the arc, The Winter Soldier, in which Bucky comes back, it was said like the people in comics that you can't bring back are Peter Parker's Uncle Ben, Batman's parents, and Bucky Barnes.
Yeah.
Those are the people that have to stay dead.
Yeah.
The way that, first of all, the way that Ed Brubaker brought Bucky back and made him a compelling character once again is phenomenal, and that deserves its own podcast, its own discussion. But the way that Marvel utilized that, because if that's their goal of stretching Cap thin, like it would have been so easy for this movie to feel like The Amazing Spider-Man 2, where it's like, we got to throw a famous comic storyline in. Let's just add the death of Gwen Stacy. There.
Right.
It doesn't really fit, but
Yeah,
we'll just
yeah.
add it. The Winter Soldier, the way that that's woven into this movie and used as a tool to continue stretching Cap is so, so good.
Well,
Well, I think that's shown that even in, I mean, the end credit scene of Black Panther,
Yeah.
like, and then you've got, I mean, we know he's going to be in Infinity War. Like he's
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Civil, like this Winter Soldier thread is still being pulled.
Yeah.
Up to this point.
Well,
Yep.
and Bucky was like Robin back in the day.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he was like
He was
a
like a kid.
Captain America, like, hey, buddy.
Yeah.
Flipping everywhere in underwear, like, yeah.
So when I first saw the Winter Soldier, I was like, ooh, finally we're getting a Bucky that's cool
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not stupid. I want to give out, and I'm struggling if I should make it my super pump. I'm just gonna make it just an enormous pump. The soundtrack.
Oh my gosh.
The soundtrack is really great. I love the snatches of the old Captain America theme from the first one that play at the very beginning and then when he's visiting World War II,
Yep.
but then it's totally different.
Dude, the Lemurian Star,
Yeah.
and the scene which we're about to get to where Nick Fury is just driving and he looks and he's starting to see people that are maybe
That is
from
such a
S.H.I.E.L.D. or
tense
Hydra.
scene.
Dude, it reminded me of Sicario.
Same.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
And part of it is that soundtrack, that like that eerie, like what the heck is happening? Like,
Yeah.
the soundtrack is the offensive lineman of a podcast. I know you guys hate sports.
What is that?
It's here's
Tennis?
Here's tennis. Here's the analogy. Offensive linemen, you don't realize that they're doing their job if they're doing it right.
Right.
You only,
Soundtrack's the same.
you only realize it when an
It's out
offensive
of
lineman
place.
jumps off sides, and
Sure.
you're like, "Oh, what a moron!" And you're
Yeah.
like, "Well, he's
Yeah.
done 50 plays. He
Yeah.
made one mistake," and we're like, "This dude sucks."
Yeah.
You don't notice the soundtrack really you're just embracing it.
Yeah.
And you're in the movie.
It should be complementarian. Yeah, I agree.
And I took a step back and I was like, this soundtrack, because this is like the 10th time I watched the movie. I was like, this soundtrack is incredible.
It's really good.
It might be one of my favorites to the MCU.
Well, and before we move on, because I want to get to that scene and everything, I just want to say huge pump once again, Sebastian Stan. That man is amazing.
Yeah. Let's run through. So I think after the Lumerian Star, the next kind of big scene that we get is that driving scene with Nick Fury. And Jordan, specifically, I want to ask you, how did you feel about that? Because I know you hate car chases.
So here's what I'm learning to refocus. I don't like car chases for the sake of car chases, where it's just like after that guy. But when it's story moving forward, I don't like car chases that feel like they're just filling time with a cool action sequence. But this was just something that occurred while he was in a car. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I felt like you could say this was a car chase for the sake of car chase, because it wasn't like Nick Fury had to be in the car.
Yeah.
I loved it though. I'm trying to think through.
Maybe I
Jordan's
should
words.
rephrase my hatred of car chases.
Give it to me.
I don't like boring car chases.
You can say that about any scene.
No, I agree.
I don't like the car chases that I don't like.
I agree, but I feel like I just have these vivid memories of people being like, dude, the Italian Job, when they're like driving through Italy in those little cars, it's so sick.
Dump on the Italian Job.
And then
I love that movie.
I watched it and I was just like, that's okay. And so maybe
that's an overhyped thing. That's not a...
No, I agree. But I think it just comes back to like when this is done so well, so many practical effects are, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
I think you love car chases.
I think car chases are your favorite movie.
I think it's one of those things that you don't want to like car chases.
It's okay. And so love what you love, man.
You're overcompensating for your love. It's like you're like a fourth grade girl that's like, I hate boys, but really like deep down you're like, I want to like them.
You know what I think it is?
Give it to me.
I just hate the Fast and Furious movies so much.
I was about to say, I think it's just Fast and Furious.
Maybe I think I hate car chases because I hate the car chase movies.
Yeah.
Like the ones that are like car chase, Fast and Furious.
60 seconds.
Yeah. But like maybe that's what it is, because like we've named several car chases.
I was
that
about
I'm
to say,
into.
if you hated this car chase,
No, I love it.
Okay, it's a fantastic sequence.
I love it.
Well, I want to back up because we moved over the first rock that's put on Captain America's story arc that has continued through the MCU, which is right after Lumerian Star, he goes to Nick Fury and says, I can't lead a mission if the people that I'm leading have missions of their own.
Yeah.
And basically Nick Fury says, I want to show you something. Shows him the helicarriers that are going to destroy, could enable or disable really thousands of threats before they happen.
Sure.
He says, what you said, that's not freedom, that's fear. That's putting a gun to everyone's head and calling it security.
Yeah.
In the name of security.
Such a good line.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And that's where you really get Captain America struggling with authority and struggling with doing what's right, because he joined S.H.I.E.L.D. to do what's right because he realized Peggy started it. And now he's realizing we're making the same mistakes.
Yeah.
When does he
visits Peggy right after
when does he
this.
visit Peggy?
Right after this,
I love, again, like, I think Haley Atwell is so good.
No.
And what?
My heart is still on the couch after that scene.
I know.
Scene
That's
ripped
so sad.
when
I
she
thought you
started-
said no when I just said Haley Atwell is so good.
I don't like her anymore. No,
that scene's incredible.
It's incredible. That scene was the hardest scene that I've watched in the MCU.
When she
has
basically
Alzheimer's.
restarts. Yeah.
She's like,
Say it again.
She has Alzheimer's.
Oh, David.
Oh, David.
Alzheimer's?
No.
What?
Old timers.
Alzheimer's?
No. It's Alzheimer's.
You don't pronounce the T?
There's
There
no
is no
T,
T.
so that's why I don't pronounce the
Alzheimer's?
T.
Alzheimer's?
Yeah.
I've always said Alzheimer's.
ALZHEI.
I know how to spell it. I just always says Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's.
There's no T. What T are you pronouncing?
Alzheimer's?
Yeah.
Alzheimer's.
Old timers.
She got old timers. But dude, that ripped my heart out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's brutal.
And then he had to come back with I had to come back
Yeah, I
for my
couldn't.
best girl.
Not when she's waiting on a
not when
dance.
she owes
Not when
me
she's waiting on the
dance.
dance. Oh, it hurts.
Just take my heart.
It
That's
hurts.
so good. I'll pump on that scene.
Pump on that scene, and credit to Chris Evans.
Yeah.
Like in my opinion, he shows a lot of like stoic emotion in that scene that I think he conveys the like, because he flips the switch so well from mid conversation to basically restarting this conversation, but being so sad about it, but forcing like
himself to be
happiness
patient
for her.
with her.
Yeah. I think he does a great job. I think he's so good there.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's incredible. So then after that, we get
we get Bucky's reveal.
Yeah.
After the car chase with Nick Fury.
Bucky reveals himself at the end of the car chase because that's how the car chase ends.
But it doesn't reveal that it's Bucky. We get the Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier
Winter Soldier.
sticks the bomb to the bottom of the car, blows it up, flips it, Dark
Dude,
Knight style.
I want to massively pump on the way they revealed him though, with Nick Fury rounding that corner and then just showing a blurred figure walking in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
Not a care. I mean, like, man, that whole slow-mo where the car flips and he just sidesteps it and watches it go.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a way to make him more intimidating.
Yeah.
It was a gutsy move to flip a car like that, because the first thing that comes to mind when a car flips like that for me is the semi truck in The Dark Knight. When they flip the big truck in The Dark Knight. And it's like they used to say on American Idol, like, you don't cover Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're a superhero movie,
You don't cover The Dark Knight.
You don't invite comparisons to The Dark Knight.
No, completely.
But I think this is maybe one of the only movies that can stand.
And it was
inviting.
different.
Yeah.
It was different. And like, I think one of the things that they did really well was to showcase, and I'm going to brush past the Dark Knight stuff because, like, you're right. We could talk about that all day. You're completely right. But one of the things they did really well to showcase how powerful Winter Soldier is, all of these people, all of these cars, everything had been trying to take him down the whole time. And then at the very end, it's almost like Bucky steps out and is like, if I have to do it myself, I'll do it myself. Yeah. And I think that really showcases, like, okay, like, you don't want to mess with him.
Yeah. Well, and one thing that kind of continues with Bucky, because they're trying to conceal the fact that he's Bucky to the audience.
Right, yeah.
And I don't think they brought logic on why he's wearing a mask and why he has dark paint on his eyes.
And never puts it back up. Well, he only had the dark paint on his eyes in that one scene.
Yeah.
I think it was the with Nick Fury. He had the goggles.
It's just when he loses the goggles. That's the only time you
and
ever.
then when Cap's chasing him,
When he's chasing
got
Steve on the
black as
roof,
well.
he has black paint.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes. So he has this like Winter Soldier getup.
Right.
Like this is his costume.
But once he loses it, he never puts it back on.
When he's revealed as Bucky, he doesn't put it back on.
Right.
And I'm like, bring some logic to why he was wearing it in the first place.
we do know that Marvel loves demasking people.
It's true. And I heard this.
Unmasking.
I heard this.
Dismasking.
That just as Cap wore the old Captain America suit to try to jar Bucky's memory.
Time out. Is that why he did that?
Oh yeah.
No, he had no other suit.
I think it's because he didn't have another suit.
Shield had his suit.
Oh, I
Lockup.
took it as because right before he does that, Falcon tells Cap, like,
Right.
when I look at the Winter Soldier, I find someone that we need to stop,
Not change.
and he says, I'm going to make him remember.
Yeah.
And then he goes to, so I interpreted it, he goes to get his old suit to try and jar his
I
memory.
completely interpreted it different.
Yeah, because when we
differently.
see him leaving Shield for the last time, he's riding out of Shield, which is probably where we ought to go back to and pick up this movie. He's leaving Shield. He's like driving his motorcycle. He has his shield on his back, but he's not got the Cap uniform.
Yeah.
My interpretation was that he just left
Dude,
that
I'm
uniform
pretty
in
sure
lockup.
it's because he wants to jar his
I
memory.
think it could easily be both too. I mean,
Yeah.
because he doesn't have another suit. Like, that is a fact.
If you're listening to the show, tweet at Chris Evans and ask him why he did that.
I haven't thought of that though, and I really like that. I really like the idea of like jarring
what
his
I've
memory.
heard is, so he wears the old suit to jar his memory, and Bucky takes off his mask to mess with Cap's mind, because he
Interesting.
realizes he's a weaker soldier when he's trying
I
trying to
like
jar his
that.
memory.
I like that.
So they're both doing the same thing to each other, trying to weaken each other.
So let's actually, if we can, go ahead and jump to Cap, like in the elevator and escaping.
yeah,
the
let's talk about
Triskelion
when
and all that.
when he decides to make a break with Shield.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Well, Nick Fury's in his apartment and kind of reveals they're keeping things from me as well.
Yep. Then gets shotted.
He gets shot by Bucky. He gets killed by the Winter Soldier, is what we know in that time. And then Robert Redford is
Robert Redford is Alexander Pierce.
And he's in charge.
He's
in charge
amazing.
of all of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's incredible.
Yeah, he kills it.
Robert
He's
Redford is so
incredible in
good in
this
this.
And he's like the number one person to pick for a spy movie.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
like
is
he's the guy.
The 70s spy movie.
100%.
So he kind of threatens Cap and saying, what information did he tell you?
Yeah.
And Cap won't give him any information. That's when he becomes on the wanted list. Cap
Yep.
steps into the elevator, and we are at the
So
elevator
let's talk
scene.
about this elevator scene. This scene was almost my super pump for this
Talk
movie.
us through it.
So, oh man. So Cap goes into this elevator. He's about to leave. He's basically just been kind of like under the table threatened by Alexander Pierce, basically saying, I'll take down anybody who stands in my way. and I mean anybody. So Cap's in this elevator, and boom, all of a sudden the guy who eventually becomes Crossbones steps on, somebody that Cap has worked with at the beginning of this movie on the Lemurian Star mission. So they know each other, and he kind of gives him a, hey, sorry about Fury. And he's like, yeah, no problem. And, some of his soldiers get on with him, and Cap's just being observant and notices that.
And then there's another stop.
Well, but before that, he notices the one guy sweating. He notices the soldier sweating and the other one fidgeting with his gun. And then more people get on.
I love that more people get on. You're like,
so more people start to get on. They're all being weird. They're all armed. They're touching their guns. They're sweating profusely. And so Cap says, maybe the best line in the whole movie.
Yeah, it is.
Cap says, before we get started, does anyone want to get off?
Yeah. Does anyone want to get out?
Nobody takes him up on that offer. They should have.
Oh my gosh.
They hit the emergency stop, and it just gets buck wild on this thing.
In a tight spot.
It is. I mean, like, so intense.
He destroys all of them, and at the very end, he kicks his shield and grabs his shield up to end one of the most incredible scenes.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
There's no use describing this fight scene.
So
just watch it.
He ends this by jumping out of the elevator.
So I want to talk about that.
Yes.
My super dump for this movie, as it has been for a few other movies, is how wishy-washy they are with Cap's powers. By that, I mean the utility of his shield and what it is capable of destroying in one hit, such as the engine of a plane, just by kind of tapping it as though it was loaded with an electrical charge, and also the unbreakability of Cap's ankles. There are so many times in this movie where that man jumps from like 100 feet plus up in the air, lands on his feet and rolls. And it's just like, I get that you are pretty much indestructible. Your ankles just snapped in half, my man. There is no other option.
That's in Cap 1 when the doctor's he's like giving him the serum, and he's like, just remember, this will also make your ankles very strong. They will be unbreakable. You'll have the ankles of a...
Is that Stanley Tucci? You're crushing it right now.
I did crush that. Well, my super dump when I was watching this movie was him taking down the helicarrier. That was the one.
Wait, the helicarrier or the plane?
The plane. It's a Quinjet.
Quinjet.
Yeah.
With that shield throw. Just
yeah. Well, and to me, that was the only time in this movie I was taken out and was like, what?
He pinballs it from like 100 feet away.
Yeah.
Just granted, it's cool.
It's a cool scene.
It's very cool.
But,
I wish that he had done the second move first, jump up and just smash the shield into it.
Yeah.
Because that makes sense.
Yeah.
I thought the shield should have gone through the window and hit the pilot.
That would work too.
Decaffeinated him.
But if they,
right there,
if,
right on
they
the spot.
if they wanted to take down the plane by the engine, I think him jumping up and just Excalibur sword in the stoning it right into the propeller thing works great.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the scenes where I was like, if Captain's that good, then at the Avengers in New York, then he should have taken down a dragon.
He should have been on the ground just like just like shooting those like little like foam discs when we were kids. Just
Totally.
So we go from here to what is he trying to steal? Oh, it's a USB, right?
It's the
USB
launch codes.
Yeah.
So he's hidden the launch
no,
codes.
you're absolutely right. It's USB. It's just so
flash
goofy
drive.
looking to me.
Yeah, he aligns with Natasha,
ScarJo.
and they together are trying to find out what is encrypted on the USB.
Yeah.
Because something is not allowing Nick Fury access. Someone's keeping secrets.
Yeah.
We probably know it's Pierce. They go to the mall to try and find
Really intense
Wi-Fi.
chase scene in the Apple store.
It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really, really great.
I think it was okay. My dump on that scene, and it's a movie trope that I was like, did they really use that when she was like, kiss me? It makes people distracted, or it makes people uncomfortable. So they look away.
I appreciated that she gave a reason for it though, of just being like PDA makes people uncomfortable.
Okay, but I've been in public places seeing people PDA, and I watch them.
Wait, really?
And I'm like, I
watch
don't avert my eyes like, oh, not saying that. I'm like, are you serious?
I just leave.
And in what world is Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson making out not going to draw some attention?
See, my thing, similar to that, my thing is just like, Chris Evans like 6'3".
Yeah.
Like,
He's a super soldier.
yeah, you're going to notice.
Yeah. There's a few moments in that where I was like,
So that scene leads into them ending up back at Sam Wilson's house. They run away.
They go to the bunker first, where Arnim
Right.
Zola's uploaded
That's
his
true.
brain, and then he reveals we get a little foreshadowing to something that happens in Civil War.
The AI.
Tony Stark's father.
That Tony's parents are killed.
in an accident.
It's when he's flashing.
yeah.
So if you haven't seen Civil War, you're watching with us for the very first time, skip ahead 40 seconds.
Yeah.
We see the newspaper thing. That's a newspaper essentially clipping that says Howard Stark killed in car accident. As Arnim Zola is saying, we have been busy manipulating events in the world.
Interesting.
So like,
I didn't catch that.
It's right there.
Yeah, I didn't catch
so
that.
the big reveal in Civil War. And welcome back. If you skipped ahead forward, glad to have you here.
I think it was also interesting to me. It kind of foreshadowed Rogue AI.
Yeah.
Which really comes into play, obviously, in Age of Ultron, but we'll get there.
Well, and Arnim Zola. Arnim Zola.
Say it again?
Arnim.
Oh.
Arnim Zola. He's uploaded his consciousness. My one question was
2,000 feet of data tape or whatever it says.
yeah, and it's like his voice is the same, and you have his face on the monitor. Now I realize in the comics he's a robot with his face in his chest.
Yeah.
So I get
That's MODOK.
from Ninja Turtles.
No, that's Krang.
You're
That's
Krang.
Dude, no, this is a throwback to the to him.
You're talking sits in a floating chair? MODOK sits in a floating chair. Two similar characters. Anyway.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I thought in this universe there wasn't a whole lot of logic to why his voice was the same and why his face was still showing.
one thing that took me out. I was like, wait, okay, it is like kind of like a weird like alternate World War II science-y
That was
origins.
all of Cap, the first Cap.
And that's
though,
what I
you know
said.
I mean?
I was like, but that was all of the first
That's
Cap.
the point.
It was Nazis get super special science weapons.
I want to skip all of this because after that they blow up the bunker at the end.
Yep.
We get to Sam Wilson's house, which brings me, thankfully, I feel comfortable talking about it, to my super pump for this movie, which is Anthony Mackie as the Falcon.
Jordan, listen to me.
Interesting.
That's also my super pump.
Really?
Also my super pump for this movie.
Dude,
Sam
I
Wilson.
love him. I think
so
he is
good.
magnetic. I think he is so entertaining. He's funny. He's got great timing. And just to top it off, he's one of my favorite late additions to the MCU.
Do you guys ever watch a movie and there's a character in that movie and at the end of the movie you're like, dang, it sucks that that's a movie because I really want to hang out with him. That's how I feel about Sam. Like I just want to hang out with Sam. Brink.
He's like a high school senior in that movie, but whatever.
Yeah.
Can I dump on a part of Falcon?
Yeah. Here's
Here's what I don't like. Here's what I thought they should have done with Falcon. Here's the one part I don't like. He says he was like a fighter.
He said he was a pilot.
He never
Pilot.
says he was a pilot.
Oh, he doesn't say
says
pilot.
That's his whole thing.
I know he says something like that to insinuate that he's a pilot.
Essentially, he's like,
That's
I was
our-
flying over this and
Right.
they shot down my wingman.
Yeah, something like that. And then he says later, like, I never said I was a pilot, and he shows the wings. Here's my thing. Now anyone can be Falcon. Because apparently, like, the army has...
He said it's the last one.
He said, no, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he did.
He said it's the last one? Then
Yeah,
how does he
he
have access to it?
They
It's the
broke
last
in and
one.
got it. That
He
was the
said
whole
it's in
point. They were like,
lockup.
it's behind a safe. Like, and they were just like, yeah, we can get there.
There's one...
That's what he said.
Yes,
he
that's
said
what he
it's the
said.
last. He said the
how-
last one is in storage.
Then how come at Civil War they take his wings away? And he's like, be careful with my wings. They're like, dude, you stole this. Why didn't they say that?
What do you mean?
What?
In Civil War, when they're taking away all the weapons, he's like, I'm giving Cap shield.
Doesn't Stark make him new ones?
Yeah.
By the time Civil War comes around, his
Those
suit's
are
different.
Those are new wings. Different wings, different suit, different
I
powers.
bet you feel really dumb right now.
I bet you haven't even seen Civil War.
I didn't know that was the last one.
I'm
Yeah, he
90% sure that he says the last one
the last
is in
pair is in
storage.
lockup.
Yeah,
Yep.
lockup. And then they say, well, what's it? And they say, or he says, it's a safe. It's behind this like security door. And then Black Widow and Cap are like, yeah, all right, we can get those.
Yeah, because that's the whole joke. He's like, it's guarded by like X number of men, and it's like behind a big steel door and like reinforced, all this stuff to make it sound hard. And then Cap and Black Widow are like, yeah, we can get it.
Which, by the way, I appreciate them not showing the actual heist
Yeah.
of getting those.
Yeah.
We didn't have time in this.
Yeah, it would have been. It
Yeah.
would have been too much. But
So Sam rules.
in my opinion, I'm
Oh,
sure
no,
you like him too.
I love him.
Yeah, it was
No,
just
he's
that one
no,
thing.
it really
Yeah.
sounds like you hate him.
I do hate him. No, I felt like because I heard and I was kind of taken out
Yeah.
and out of this movie this past time I watched it, but when he was talking about my pilot my co-pilot got shot down, I was like, wait, so there's like, wings
more? Yeah.
everywhere? Like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
No, I get that. I do think that it was the last one, but
Yeah.
either way, he gets
Yeah.
a new
I
one.
will dump a little bit on the CG of him flying.
It's not great.
It's
yeah.
a little like weird and floaty, and it's mostly fixed by the time we get to things like Civil War.
Except in the final fight scene when he closes the wings and drops so the missiles hit the glass
Yeah.
dome. I
Oh,
lost
that's so
my
cool.
mind. Anyway, let's move forward. After Sam's house, where do we go?
We pretty much begin, essentially, we get the third act. That's the Death Star briefing, essentially, that signals we're moving into the third act. Where they say, this is, they go to Fury's underground bunker.
And they do the highway battle too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. I'm skipping a lot of this movie.
That's the end of the second act, basically.
Yeah, they fight on a freeway. This is after they've tried to like zone in on some of the Hydra agents and interrogate them. So you're starting to see Hail Hydra coming back.
Right.
And on the freeway, they get attacked by the Winter Soldier. They kind of all disperse. You get the first fight between Bucky and Cap.
Oh, I love
and you
it.
realize that they're pretty evenly matched.
One of the best scenes in the whole movie, in my opinion, is Cap up against the truck, Bucky with his knife, and they cut down the truck as they move.
Yeah. Oh
it's
my
so
God.
good.
I love that his arm can like express super strength in a moment and just cut down. And there's so many times where it's like, and he's like, that thing's about to come down. Like he can't even control
So I
that.
do want to go back to something you said during our Captain America episode.
Okay.
Our Cap 1 episode. And Cap later confirms it in this movie. Whenever we saw Bucky's unit get captured, I think it was you that said, I wonder if that's when the experimentation started that essentially gave him super strength, turned him into the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Cap confirms that in this movie. He says Bucky's whole unit was captured and Zola did experiments on him.
Okay.
Which is what enabled him to survive the fall.
Okay.
So they were essentially at that point already trying to continue replicating the super soldier serum.
Okay.
Got it.
So it was at that point.
Yeah, there's that little line that gives us a hint as to how Bucky survived and what Bucky's power set is.
So what
now.
I wonder is, did he lose his arm in the fall? Is that what
think
we're
so,
to infer? He lost his arm in the fall, and
Which we're back to our new favorite segment of Two Chunks and a Hunk.
Losing a
the
hand.
losing
Yeah.
an arm segment. We need to come up with a snappy name for that. Hands off. Two Chunks and a Hunk presents Hands Off. But here it is.
Sponsored by gloves.
Here it is.
Yeah, Winter Soldier. At the very end of the fight scene, he removes his mask and Cap says,
Bucky?
and he says, who the heck's Bucky?
Who the heck is Bucky?
Which we talked about a little bit off camera. So let's put ourselves in the situation. You're fighting the Winter Soldier and, let's say you're fighting this,
Captain America,
this
yeah.
random dude who's just trying to kill you. And then he says, Brad, what do you do?
I say,
Nope.
am I Brad? Have I been Brad this whole time?
Is that me?
Is Brad?
Well, you're leaving something very
Jordan?
important out.
What,
Imagine that
he could remember.
Imagine that you can't remember anything before today. And somebody looks up to you and goes, Andrew? I think
What
your-
happened to Brad?
I think your first thought might be like,
Am I Andrew?
maybe I'm Thomas.
Yeah, but he
Stop changing names.
But he says, who the heck's Thomas? Not, is it me?
I'm still stuck on Brad.
Bring back Brad. Hashtag bring back
hashtag
Brad.
bring back
Tweet
Brad.
at us and let us know if you want Brad back.
Actually, kind of hard to say.
Bring back Brad.
Bring back Brad.
Bring back Brad.
Brad.
There you go. Bring back Brad.
So I say Brad in the middle of the fight, and you say, who the heck's Brad? Or do you
If
say,
I can't
what
remember
are you
past
talking
this
about?
morning.
If I'm in a fight, I've been unconscious for a long time. At this point, I think.
Yeah. This is assuming that I don't get all my teeth punched out in the first 10 seconds of a fight.
So we reveal that it's Bucky. Fight continues. Cap
Obviously,
gets,
that's a big deal.
yes.
Yeah.
Cap gets restrained because
Sure.
he's like, he can't fight
He's
anymore.
done. Yeah.
Drops to his knees. They get taken in.
Saved by Mrs. Hill.
Love Maria Hill.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Ms. Hill. Sorry.
Yeah.
Ms. Hill.
Robin, I think is her name.
Yeah, Robin from How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
She's so good. I want more from her.
She's really great.
Yeah.
So
I'm okay
she,
with the amount that I get.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I think she's great.
I think she's awesome.
I think she's great. I'm not
in the
asking for
theater
more
when I
Hill.
was watching this, I was really hoping that she would become director of Shield because
Yeah,
she
me too.
becomes director of Shield after
That would
Fury
be cool.
dies.
I'd be okay with
And
that.
At this point in the movie, we still think that Fury's dead.
right.
Which, if there's not a segment on Two Chunks and Hunk that I'm obsessed with, it's another fake death.
I know,
Yeah.
and that is actually going to be my super dump
Okay.
of this movie. That Fury didn't stay dead. There's no reason for Fury to not stay dead. I really, really, really think the only reason they brought him back
For
is,
more of that sweet, sweet Sammy J.
is for the line at the end when he's like, "If you want to stay ahead of me, you got to keep both eyes open," and he lifts his eye patch up.
That's a weird moment for me because that's both a pump and a dump because it's so cheesy and so dope at the same time.
Yeah, I just don't. I think Fury was done at that point.
Yeah.
We didn't need to bring him back.
Yeah. And it weakens death again.
Yep.
I'm okay with it.
I do want to give a quick shout out to friend of the show, Castleton. He emailed us through our website, twochunksandahunk.com, and gave us his super pump and super dump for this movie. Super dump is the escape from the convoy, essentially, where
That's
they
his dump?
where they cut a hole in the floor.
Yeah.
Just Castleton was saying that seems to come out of nowhere, and I kind of agree. because Fury, like we see him hold up the laser and cut his way out at the beginning in the car chase. And then it's like, oh, I guess everybody in S.H.I.E.L.D., like high-level S.H.I.E.L.D., has that stuff now.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. We could explain it away, but the movie kind of just glosses over that because we need
The
to
only
get our
thing that I
heroes to the
think of
bunker.
is if they did it while they were driving, there's just a giant line cut in the
yeah,
concrete.
for real. They'd have to do it when they stopped.
Yeah.
And so fast. So
Well, that kind of leads me to, have I given my super dump yet?
I don't think you
I
have.
think I have. I've kind of like trying to been doing it on the fly. One of the things that I was really upset about, and again, a lot of things that upset me don't upset you, but when Scarlet Joe is completely like hidden as one of the directors of S.H.I.E.L.D., I was definitely surprised in that scene, and that took me back. I was like, dude, this old lady can fight.
Yeah.
And then you see it Scarlett Johansson. But I'm like, wait, that technology exists in this universe? That can be very hard to
So there
to
was
reason.
actually a scene that they had included originally in the movie that explained that, and they cut it.
Like that technology?
Yeah.
well, because this movie is 2 hours and 15
Yeah,
minutes.
it's a very
it's
long
very
movie.
long.
But they actually cut a scene that had showed previously that like, yes, this exists, and
Yeah.
yes, we have it.
Yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere
Yeah.
in the story. But two, it's like, okay, so now every character that I see
Could be anybody. Yeah, I mean, I'm with
and
you.
that's Mission Impossible. And that's one of the things I don't like about Mission Impossible is like, I could see Tom Cruise for 15 minutes and it could not be him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't like that. I feel like that's a cheap reveal.
It is. It's not quite as earned as it perhaps should be.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
that's kind of a turning point in the final climax, which is what I tried to lead us to earlier.
Sure.
We figure out Fury is still alive, use the toxin that Bruce Banner developed to help him control stress, to fake his own death. And then
That's dope.
they get a what I like to call the Death Star briefing, where it's like, this is the plan. Here's exactly what you need to do. Here's the tools you need to do it. Now go do it. And that signals the beginning of Act 3,
Which is
Now call Tony.
which is
That
fantastic.
should have been in the plan.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that is one thing I think of is like they show Stark Tower on the targeting computer.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
And Tony's like, I'm all out of suit.
no, not even that. Nobody's just gonna call me like, hey, Tony, you might want to get out of there. Just FYI.
Or come help us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that's the problem with these superhero team ups. But for the final,
That's why we hate him on this show.
for the final fight, unless we're going to describe it frame by frame, which I don't think we should. Basically, we can hit the high points. So the 3 helicarriers come up. They need to change the targeting chips in each of them. If any of the 3 survive, millions will die. So basically, they have to make sure all 3 ships aren't targeting people, but actually each other. Turns out to be the game plan. So they send
The ships are going to shoot themselves.
right, and so they send. Is it Falcon? No, Cap does 2.
Yeah.
Cap does 2, Falcon does 1.
Yeah.
And so Falcon's flight and the way that he makes the missiles blow the hole we talked about briefly is very dope.
This whole fight scene to me feels like the end of Avengers, where it's like I can totally see myself at any point just being like, you know what, I'm going to watch the
gonna
last
watch the
25
final-
minutes
yeah.
of Winter
And I
Soldier.
love the how we know who's good and bad because Hydra and Shield are the same people. And he's like, whoever starts shooting at you.
and right after that he says, I think I found those bad guys, because it's just
Yeah.
But Cap takes the first computer out that he does very easily. Second computer, oops, there's Bucky. I want to pump huge on this fight between Bucky and Cap.
Yeah.
They mixed emotion and brutality so well.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I felt every hit, both physically, just like, ow, but also just like how much it clearly hurt Cap
Yeah.
to do this. And I think to see how at the beginning, how easily Bucky was hurting him, I think like probably hurt him emotionally as well.
Yeah.
And so that's why in the finale of this fight, when Cap takes the helmet off and is like, look at me. And then he says, I don't know you. And Sebastian Stan again, when he goes, shut up. Like I felt that. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Like that scene was so well acted. And then the final, like, I'm not going to fight you. And they just hit and hit and hit, leading to the
My
fall.
super pump.
Yeah.
Yep.
Get it.
My super pump is the final fight scene. I love in this movie, we get a picture of Cap and we could describe him as Cap doesn't budge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On what he believes, he's not going to budge.
He could do this all day.
And in no way is he going to budge on retaliating against Bucky.
Yeah.
And so he takes his mask off. My favorite line, the line is almost my super pump. He says, "You're my friend." He says, "You're my mission." And he's like, "Then finish it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just punch me."
He goes,
I'm
what does
not
he say?
gonna- I'm not going to fight you.
It's you and me till the what
Because
is
he
it?
says, I'm with you till the end of the line.
yeah,
That's
actually,
what they used to say together.
Bucky's words from Flashback. We didn't even talk about that. Flashback, we get young Steve again. CG again, to me, looks phenomenal in that scene.
Looks okay.
But that's what Bucky says to Steve after his mom's funeral.
Yeah.
And I love, dude, I honestly got emotional when he was like, dude, like, We can take the couch cushions off and have a sleepover like old times.
Yeah.
And then Steve says, I'm fine on my own. And Bucky grabs his shoulder and says, that's what you don't understand, man. You don't have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez. It's so good.
It really, really
Yeah.
is. I can't believe we forgot to talk about that.
And he sacrifices himself because he tells Maria he'll like launch
Blow it up, yeah.
because we don't have enough time. Someone could re-switch one of these trays.
Makes a sacrifice play.
Sacrifice. And then at the very end, you see Bucky dragging out Cap, whether he remembers or whether he's just like, I don't know why this dude wouldn't fight me back, but there has to be something there. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to let him die.
And then that's when he goes on his
Pilgrimage.
pilgrimage to find himself. Yeah, which we find him in again in Civil War.
Yeah.
But then, so sorry, that's your super
That's my
pump,
super
though.
pump,
Yeah.
yeah. Just that-
and,
that
and I
fight
think that's
scene.
so good. I agree. I want to talk briefly about that graveside scene at the end, and then that's pretty much the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So fake grave for Nick Fury. He basically says, if anybody asks for me, tell them I'm right here. Pretend I'm dead.
I love that line.
Yeah, that's good. But my favorite part of that scene is when Nick says basically, hey, I got a thing to do. You guys want to come? Everybody says no. But Sam, what he says is, yeah, I do whatever he does. I'm with him.
Yep.
And like, I think that shows further on in the movie of just like the undying loyalty that Cap bought from Sam that during the story of Winter Soldier, Steve proved himself to be an honorable person,
To be
Sam.
worthy of following. Yeah.
And so Sam says, till the end.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I mean, we've talked about this briefly in some of our DC episodes, but Captain America is kind of becoming what Superman should be, where he is that like perfect ideal that inspires people to try and live up to him.
He's the rallying point.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
And we really, really see that in this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
So should we talk end credit scenes and then rate?
Yeah. So first post-credit scene is the Hydra base, another hidden Hydra base. So essentially,
Who is that guy?
Baron
Stryker.
Strucker.
Okay.
Strucker.
Strucker.
Okay.
Yep. He is a comic book villain. He's actually a pretty huge comic book villain. But he's been experimenting with the Mind Gem and has created powers in two twins, Pietro and Wanda Maximoff,
Yeah.
Quicksilver, and the Scarlet Witch.
I love Quicksilver. We'll talk about them obviously when we get to Age of Ultron a little more in depth. But Wanda I want more screen time for her, dude.
Yeah,
She
she's so
is so
great.
cool. I think that Elizabeth Olsen is a fantastic actress. And I really want more screen time for her to flesh out Wanda. And her powers are so sick.
Yeah.
And I want to see, I mean, in Age of Ultron at the end of that, and then even in
in Civil War, yeah.
I want more
She's
from her
really, really
character.
great.
I wanted Quicksilver to keep that big brown like frazzled hair that he had in that scene when he came and he kind of had the
I
comb
think
over
he looks
gray.
so cool. No, I think he looks so cool.
He looked fine, but he looked crazy.
He did,
Yeah.
but he looks so.
And that's what I wanted from
wanna
both of them.
skip-
Was just like crazy.
Guardians is one of my favorite movies in the MCU, and I want to skip it to get to Age of Ultron so that we can talk about the introduction of Quicksilver.
Yeah. He's really, really great.
and him and Hawkeye's really.
I love it so much.
That's
Okay.
our first post-credit scene.
Yep.
And then our final post-credit scene that's after all of the credits is Bucky at the exhibit, the Captain America exhibit in the museum, reading his own biography.
I got chills, dude.
yeah.
Yeah, and his face in that.
Yeah.
It's just like
Sebastian Stan, I want to give him a hug. Like, he's so good.
Yeah, he is,
Oh my goodness.
and I think he is underrated. I think he again is an offensive lineman. I think people overlook him.
Dude, you want to talk about something dope?
What?
So I was watching the behind the scenes stuff on the Blu-ray. The scene where he swings with the knife, throws it, catches it, and keeps going.
Yeah.
He did that, and he did it live.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he talked about driving. He was like, my friends would make fun of me because for months before the movie, I would just be in my car flipping this knife and practicing that move, and I would just walk around my house on my phone talking to people, flipping the knife and practicing that move so that when it came time to film the fight scene, I could do the knife scene.
That's so
I've
cool.
seen him practicing.
Yeah.
There's videos of him just doing
It's
it
so
with
sick.
trainers.
That's
It's
awesome.
super cool.
So rating?
Rating.
Yeah, we could talk about this movie all day.
Yeah, I really could. Easy.
I
I could do this all day.
Rate it.
Oh boy. So here at Two Chunks and a Hunk, we have come up with the scientific cinema scale. TM, it is the perfect movie rating scale, so don't even look elsewhere. Check science. So that scale is as follows, although I feel like we're only going to need the top end. The best thing we could ever say about a movie is own it, don't lend it, buy that poster. Right under that, the next best thing we could ever say, buy it. You know what I mean? Make sure it's part of your collection. Right under that, the next best thing we can say is rent it. Spin a couple of buckaroon dogs.
Spin a couple of Buckies.
Spin a couple of Bucky
Come on,
Barnes.
man. That's the joke.
Spin a couple of James Buchanan Barnes. And watch it yourself. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Right under that is something we call stream it. If you're already spending some James Buchanans on a streaming service and it's on there, it is worth your time. And then the second to worst thing we could ever say about a movie is forget it. Just get it out of there. Don't even, pretend it doesn't exist. The worst thing we could ever say about a movie, God hath forsaken us. I'll rate it first if we want me to.
Do it. We want you to.
Ladies and gentlemen, an easy rating for Jordan Wonders. Captain America Winter Soldier, no doubt, is a own it, don't lend it, buy that poster. This is the best movie, in my opinion, the best movie we have reviewed so far in this podcast history.
Yeah.
I could watch it once a week, every week until I die and never get tired of it. Easily. This is hands down, own it, don't lend it, buy that poster.
I think I need to start by talking about this struggle that I have with throwing out my own it, don't lend it, buy those posters.
Because you a slut with it, baby.
But I can't look back at the ones I've thrown away and taken them down because I genuinely would buy those posters and I wouldn't lend it. And this is no different. I'd own it, don't lend it, buy that poster.
All right.
Yep.
I think Iron Man got it from me because that set the MCU. Avengers got it from me because it set and changed the MCU. And Winter Soldier's getting it because it set and changed the MCU though. So yeah, don't buy a little magnet for your fridge. buy a big old poster.
David, I feel that tension with you. I've heard it said the best way to succeed at something is to begin with the end in mind. And I was a little too willy-nilly with the own it, don't let it, buy those posters at the beginning.
A little too milli-vanilly with it.
A little too milli-vanilly with it. And this is an easy own it, don't let it, buy that poster. And it's much better than other movies that I've given that rating to. Don't say I told you so.
You two look so stupid. I look so awesome.
That's why I really do think that our ordered list that we do at the end of this.
I think it's going to be awesome.
Really,
I'm
really
honestly
helpful.
super excited for that.
Yeah. So that kind of brings us to just a big fast one that Marvel pulled on the entire world this week. Marvel moved the release date of Avengers Infinity War
crazy.
up a week. It is now coming out 1 week sooner than it was originally
April
planned on.
27th.
So guys, isn't it freaking lucky that we recorded and released Black Panther when we did?
It really is.
Because otherwise we'd be pretty out of luck right now.
So now for that Wouldn't It Be Nice episode that we talked about last week, we will double up on one of our weeks to include Wouldn't It Be Nice so that we can still get to that. It'll just be a mini episode.
Yeah.
But we're going to include that.
Yeah. So look for that right around the week before Avengers Infinity War
Look
releases.
for that sometime.
Look for it later, not now.
So I guess it's time for some shout outs.
Let's hit them shouties.
Thank you to the following people for hashtagging official chunky out there in the real world. We got Alden De Armas. We got Jordan Goach.
What?
We got Castleton Jalali.
Yep.
And we have an accidental, very late shout out to my cousin Brandon Bonnell. Thank you to all four of you.
And that is the order in which we appreciate you. The order we just listed.
So if you want a shout out on the show or just mix it up, see what happens. Talk about us on social media, share our posts, do whatever. Hashtag official chunky. We'll shout you out. Unless you're mean, we might still do it anyway.
Or do
Who
what
knows?
Castleton did and contact us through the website. Send us pumps and dumps. Book us for your bar mitzvahs, your birthday parties. We love to do those kinds of things.
Read our bios on the website too. We worked hard on those and they're really stupid. So make sure you check those out. Again, that website is twochunksinahunk.com. That's COM, like every other website. But I think that's going to do it for us. Next week, we're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Very excited about that.
It's going to be a grand old time.
Sure enough is. Anything else? I love you.
We love you.
We know that you're here.
Listen, we really, really love you.
Well, the episode's over, but since you're still hanging out here, why don't we toss some information your way?
If you want to be the first to know when we drop new content, like us on Facebook at 2 Chunks and a Hunk. Subscribe to us on YouTube or subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts.
And if you want a shout out on our next podcast, then #officialchunky.
Yeah.
That's CHUNKY.
That's true. That's true. Well, we're done here, but I guess if you want to stay, I mean, we can just
Yeah, keep hanging out.
What was your favorite part of that movie that we just saw? Did you like it?
I bet they did.